This is Seymour Rocks reporting from down under. We've got very fast-moving events in the Middle East between the United States and Iran. And so I want to share just a few things with you, and I'm going to do it in the form of a video because it's easier for me to get this information across. I've actually, I'll start off with this piece from AMTV and Chad Boukzam, which I thought was a very reasonable kind of version of events, and it stops me from necessarily having to spend a time going after all the headlines. So I'll leave you with this for the moment.
Hey everybody, welcome to Alternative Media Television. I'm Chad Boukzam. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please thumb up this video, help us spread this message as far as possible. It's a very important topic I want to discuss. Let's all connect the dots for one reason: oil. This is why we topple governments. This is why we go into the Middle East. We need to survive. And to survive, we need natural resources and oil. This is why it doesn't matter how much debt we are in. The cash system we live in is fake.
Iran are behind attacks on 4 oil tankers. Venezuela's state-run oil company operations.
This year's oil market ups and downs have been enough to give you whiplash.
This is the second attack in 3 days on Saudi oil assets.
15 million barrels of oil pass through the Strait of Hormuz daily.
This is why over a week ago we were on camera saying, look, something's going to happen in the Middle East. And something did happen. As Israeli intelligence was providing the U.S. administration with information suggesting Iran was going to target U.S. troops in Iraq and Syria, John Bolton with the CIA at headquarters discussing deep state operations against Iran, and then he comes on camera and he says Iran is planning to attack American interests. Look how perfect this story is. Okay, then subsequently, right after, UAE oil tankers sabotaged, attacked, exploded. This is what they're saying. 2 Saudi Arabian oil tankers on the way to the Strait of Hormuz attacked, exploded, sabotaged, is what they're saying. And Saudi Arabia, the U.S., they're pointing the fingers to who? To Iran. Now it's being reported that the U.S. government is ordering all non-essential government staff out of Iraq.
The State Department ordering all non-emergency U.S. government employees to leave Iraq amid escalating tensions with neighboring Iran.
Also, Norway, Germany suspending programs in Iraq because there's an unspecified threat that is coming from who? Iran. Now, we were doing all of this while we're sending carrier strike groups, while we're sending our Patriot missile dome, basically, to shoot down missiles in the sky, while we're sending B-52 bombers, while we're doing sorties, getting ready to target who? Iran. All this is happening around these attacks. And we said that they were going to happen because, again, what's the word? Oil. Now what are we hearing from an Iranian presidential aide? He tweeted this to Donald Trump. He said, "You wanted a better deal with Iran. Looks like you are going to get a war instead." Again, this is coming from the presidential aide. That's what happens when you listen to the mustache. Good luck in 2020. A lot of talk is a lot of talk, but a lot of talk a lot of times leads to war. Now, Iran was saying that, look, these ships in the Strait of Hormuz, they used to be a threat to us. Now they're a target. Iran is saying that they're going to defeat the American Zionist alliance. And Russia is telling the U.S. administration to back off. This is all happening for a reason. So you're going to see more of this occur. Again, because we are on the road, we're on the path, just like we did in Libya, just like we did in Syria, just like we did in Iraq, just like we did in Afghanistan. We're doing these things for a reason. A lot of people think that wars just can't happen anymore, that we're in this utopia where nothing bad will ever happen besides a microaggression. And this is not true, because it's not even about Donald Trump. Okay? This is deep state policies. This is U.S. military-industrial complex policies that are going to go out in these adventures no matter what. No matter what. And now let me be clear what's happening. What the U.S. administration is occurring, that Iran militants, Iranian-backed militants, are placing rockets, okay, near sites where U.S. troops are located to plan attacks. What are we going to see happen next? As things, look, a little accident could cause a war. But again, it's not with Iran. It's with Russia and Iran. It's not with Russia and Iran. It's with Russia, China, and Iran. This is a new international order. What do I mean by this? A new empire is going to take over. Now, they hate Donald Trump. These globalists hate Donald Trump. And a lot of globalists, after Donald Trump was elected sided with this new international order. A lot of people are not seeing this. And what we're seeing right now is the beginning to a devastating conflict. So be prepared, always, in life. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Iranians and their proxies, and it was an attempt to hurt America where they're most easily hurt. That's with the economy and with oil. So, well, it's all part of the puzzle. As I've said previously, I try not to be guided by ideology, but by what seems the most credible. So this is actually, I'm not saying it's true, I'm not saying it's not true, but it's certainly worthy of attention. So listen to this now.
The oil tankers, and then the drone attack on the oil pipeline was actually done by the Iranian government itself and not the Mujahedin. That's what caught me off guard. I want to read to you directly what he says to me here in this letter that I just got last night. He says, in 2009, at the height of the tensions between the U.S. and Iran, it came to a point that the U.S. airstrike attack seemed imminent. The leaders of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, in their interviews, tried to sound confident, but you could feel a sense of resignation and hopelessness in their statements. He goes on, this time around, they're nothing but confident. I believe what played down in Syria, where the U.S. was using the best Arab fighters seasoned from the Afghan war, combined with U.S. reconnaissance weaponry, air support, and by the way, this is what really gets me right here, ISIS and al-Nusra. He's actually telling me, even in the letter here, that the United States, when they were fighting with their seasoned trained fighters from the Afghan war, was using the best of the U.S. had, including the U.S. reconnaissance weaponry, air support, and ISIS fighters and al-Nusra fighters. Now, you know, I've always said, guys, this is something, Bonnie, and I've said it, you know, we've said it on.
And he goes on. And he goes on.
And so my heart really goes out. And what I'm about to read to you might really come home a little bit more when I share this with you. And this is a portion of the letter that was shared with me here. Said important government meetings says that Israel and the USA are very concerned about the economic blowback of war with Iran. All right, now I'm going to pause for a second. And of course, as I read to you on the letter from my Iranian source, it was Iran directly that struck the Saudi Arabian targets. And by the way, I want to clarify something, because I know that when I covered this originally, I said 7 oil tankers had been struck. And I know that Paul Bagley also had mentioned the same thing. I think he said as many as 9. When it came out in mainstream media, they said 2, and everybody said, oh, it's like fake news. This source here from the region says the drones penetrated 1,050 kilometers into Saudi Arabia and hit 7 spots. These 2 events, and then he says, tankers, drones, was not a gasket flag, but Iran's first response to America. Now, from what I'm reading from my friend in Israel, this is exactly, they got the message, because he says here, Israel and the USA are very concerned about economic blowback of war with Iran. Why? They see that Iran is going to target what hurts us most, the oil supply. You remember Saddam Hussein did the same thing. He set all of his oil fields aflame. Well, we could tolerate that, but our main supplier for the United States has always been Saudi Arabia. Russia is one of the largest oil producers as well, and so is Iran. But if we make them the enemy, and they take out the economic backbone of America, it's going to bring our economy to a halt. Now watch what else he says. The thought is at this time to prepare for that and a possible economic depression. Buy food, gas, and water and meds. Now for here in Israel, the public is being told nothing here on this.
They want us to die. They want 90% of us to die. They want a world cataclysm. And the only question is who is going to rule the final global empire.
Now, this next segment doesn't really need too much explanation, but he starts off by describing Israel, and he's saying basically that lots of Israelis are going to die in this, and that the Israeli government are not telling them. So what's new in any of that? And then he goes on really to talk about what the American plans might be, and that's to kind of engage. They're bringing in all their pieces, and they might indulge in a kind of blitzkrieg to take Iran out. What he also confirms is that ISIS and Al-Qaeda have been fighting on the side of the Americans. And he goes on to talk at some length about the MEK, the Mujahedin terrorist organization that is in exile, and he cites an article from the Israeli media, which is highly critical, and then shows how John Bolton is right in the pocket of these people. So I'll leave it to his words. Okay.
Return to the NLA to be used as fighters upon coming of age. All right, that's just a little bit about what the Israelis say about this group, and yet at the same time, we see people like former Mayor Rudy Giuliani, in an article here on Politico.com, says took money from a group that killed Americans. Does Trump care? Well, does Trump know? I mean, look, I'm not trying to take up for President Trump, but also sometimes I wonder if he even knows what's going on, right? So Rudy Giuliani's taking money from this very group that even the Israelis consider a terrorist organization, manipulative organization, right? And now here's what's really strange. We get this in 2017 that Israel's writing about it, and by the way, the Root Shiva is very pro-Netanyahu organization, pro-Orthodox Jewish organization. But now here is a clip here from Fox News, and with Fox News, Miriam, let me pull her name up so I don't mispronounce it, Rajavi, she's the one that has the Trump administration's ear now. And in that interview right there, Miriam Rajavi is going on there talking about that the Trump administration, they got to take down Iran. That's an interview with Fox News. I'll just give you the date on it, October 13th, 2017. Right about the time that Israel's writing about how horrible this group is, and even all the way up until recently in news on Fox, etc., this woman is brought out as if she's some kind of great saint or something, right? And I'll just, well, I won't play it right now, but, so you can just see her picture there, those of you watching on Israeli News Live there, so you know what we're talking about here. And yet Israel considers them a terrorist group. All right, now, let me move on to another issue here. Here you go, John Bolton, right here. You can see in the picture here, this is on one of the Twitter images that I pulled up. She's right there meeting John Bolton and, of course, other senators, congressmen there. In fact, the one congressman, I forget his name, but I know he was on Israeli News Live that's standing on the stage there. But this lady here, John Bolton, also had been paid, I think, like $20,000 a pop speaking at their very camp where they do all these deeds that the Israeli newspaper Arutz Shiva spoke about, where they do the mind control, manipulation, forced divorces. John Bolton was speaking at their very compound in Iraq and getting paid for it. I wonder why these guys sing their praises. Now, but this is something, though, that I found that was very interesting. Because you have Arutz Shiva saying how evil this group is, but I want to show you a connection that the New Yorker brought out. And Bonnie, this will get you really to thinking. This article here in the New Yorker, let me just real quick, we'll pull up the date on this so people know the date. This was on April 5th, 2012. All right? Read a little section of this only. So the terrorist organization by the State Department in 2002, the MEK, which is the Mujahedin terrorist organization, earned some international credibility by publicly revealing accurately that Iran had begun enriching uranium at a secret underground location. Mohammed al-Baradi, who at the time was the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, the United Nations Nuclear Monitoring Agency, told me later that he had been informed that the information was supplied by the Mossad. So it goes on, says the MEK's...
There you have it.
Yeah, the MEK's...
There you have it.
Right, with Western intelligence deepened after the fall of the Iraqi regime in 2003. So now we know who's working with these guys.
So that's it for me for today. Whichever way you want to read it. It's highly alarming what is happening in the Middle East, and I don't think we're being told the half of it, not even 10% of it, in the Western media especially. So anyway, enough from me. That's Seymour Rocks reporting from Down Under.